p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Monday, the 2nd of September, 2024. This is program number 1240 of the Lunchroom, and I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, in addition to our radio frequency, 101.1 FM, you can also get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com, and you can download our previous shows on that website as well. If you want to also follow us live streaming online, you can do so on Facebook. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International on Facebook. And of course, please be sure to like and share that link as well with your friends and family. And if you, of course, want to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so is 4523046. Again, that's our direct line number here at the Lunchroom. It is 4523046. And you can also call into our WhatsApp number. It is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. You can message in or you can call in to that number. Now, we just want to send out some birthday greetings for today to Mr. Jermaine Serrier. Happy birthday to you, sir. We do hope that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. Hope it's a good one. And also to Mr. Chadi Fauché. Happy birthday to you, sir. Hope you're having a wonderful birthday celebration. Bit of history for today. We go back to the year 1192, which saw the signing of the Treaty of Jaffa. And that was between Sultan Saladin and King Richard the Lionheart of England. And that ended the Third Crusade in a compromise, which neither party was really happy with, led to the Islamic control of Jerusalem, with the Christian pilgrimage rights and restored for the Kingdom of Jerusalem. In the year 1666, on this day, saw the Great Fire of London, beginning at about 2 o'clock on Pudding Lane, 2 o'clock in the morning, that is, with 80% of the city of London being destroyed in that fire. 1792 saw the beginning on this day, September the 2nd, of what are known as the September Massacres of the French Revolution in Paris, which saw a rampaging mob slaughter 3 Roman Catholic bishops, more than 200 priests and prisoners believed to be royalist sympathizers. And in 1864, on this day, during the U.S. Civil War, Union General William T. Sherman captured and occupied Atlanta, Georgia, ending the Atlanta campaign. And we now move on to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Brazilians, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today. And we do hope that you're having a very blessed day. And it is the return to school for thousands of students here in St. Lucia across the public education system. And so certainly we want to extend our best wishes to all the students, as well, of course, teachers, principals, and staff of the respective education institutions all around St. Lucia, who are heading back to a brand new school year for 2024-2025. And of course, it's very, very important for particularly, of course, those who are starting or transitioning into new levels within the education system, making that transition from perhaps preschool into primary school, or as it may be known, infant school. Those who are making the transition from primary school into secondary school, of course, after the completion of the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessments, CPEA, or what we used to know, which has been changed a fair bit as the Common Entrance Examination. And so, of course, that's a major shift for a lot of those 11 plus students who are getting themselves into brand new uniforms and who are starting a new chapter 5 years or so into a secondary school. And of course, there's no doubt there's been lots of preparation by parents who've had to be dealing with, of course, the reality of new school books and school uniforms and shoes and all the various supplies that have to be provided, new school bags and haircuts, of course, and or hairstyles, whatever the case may be. And of course, this has certainly been has tended to be, of course, a major burden over the years for a lot of parents who, of course, make the sacrifice to ensure that they can provide for those things, sometimes at the expense of a lot of other needs and wants. And of course, it's a welcome sacrifice, yes, but it has certainly not been always possible for lots of parents, and would mean that lots of children would not be looking too brightly into the academic year, thinking that, well, I'm still going in and I haven't gotten these books and I haven't gotten supplies, or I haven't gotten a new pair of shoes, perhaps, or whatever the case is. And that has certainly been a tremendous challenge. So, in as much as we speak to free education, of course, the reality is that there have been lots of responsibilities that parents have to, uh, uh, in fact, ensure that they provide so that children can, in fact, properly access that free education. Of course, the government of St. Lucia has been pointing out that they have been trying to do more within the space of education. And in particular, we'd have heard a couple of years ago under the Kenny Anthony administration, the announcement of students making that transition into primary school, and sorry, into secondary school from primary school, that they would be afforded a $500 bursary or grant, a one-off grant, for the purpose of assisting parents in making those supplies necessary and uniforms necessary for their students. So, of course, that has been certainly welcome, and thankfully, it's one of those policies that we have seen continue across three successive administrations. So the Anthony administration introduced it, the Shastny administration kept it, and it, of course, has been kept by the Pierre administration in terms of that assistance. But in addition to that, of course, we've seen of late additional support being provided to students. For instance, the matter of laptops, and that, of course, has been this big issue, the digital divide that exists around the world, and certainly here in St. Lucia, it's has been a reality as well. And the ability to access information through computers, through the internet, the World Wide Web, has been a really important aspect of a transition, an opportunity to level the playing field in many homes across St. Lucia. And that's been a big deal. Uh, the amount of information that is now available to the average student in a primary school or secondary school right now, as compared to, say, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, is phenomenal. And that is through this digital transformation that we have witnessed. There would have been a time when a student who would have had to have been able to do some basic research would have meant that they would have had to have their personal books, of course. That's one aspect, the textbooks and whatnot. But beyond that, the access to having encyclopedias, the access to having other reference material, the access to having a library, is was a major shift, a gap for a lot of individuals. It Many people would not have been able to have gotten to a library on a daily basis, or it meant that even if they had to get there, it would have required them to have made a tremendous effort of walking down to the city, or trying to find the nearest library, or trying to find a computer. Right? That was the reality just 20 years ago, right? Those tools were simply just not available, easily available to the average student, and which meant that they had, of course, had to exert a clear deal of effort to be able to access these types of resources. And now the reality is that it is, in fact, available to all students at their fingertips, at their homes, or wherever they may be, whether it's at their on their school desk, or even on the playground if they so chose. And that information is now available to them, and information that is being updated, information that is a vast amount of resource that is being placed at the access, the ability for those individuals. Now, of course, we do know that the reality of it, of course, is that yes, you have this wealth of information, but of course, with it comes a lot of other distractions, no doubt about it, and things that would perhaps take individuals away from what is, in fact, the emphasis of the curriculum. That said, though, there are a lot of platforms that are generally global platforms that permit students to be able to get a lot of good information as well, a lot of good analysis. So, whether it is Wikipedia, whether it's YouTube, there are a lot of these platforms which are not necessarily purely for the purpose of education and learning. There are lots of other people posting lots of other things there, but there is a great deal of information and learning that is possible now, far more than it was perhaps um, some years ago. So there is a tremendous opportunity now for students to do better, to learn perhaps even quicker. It's if in fact a student has an issue with maybe mathematics, or they're not getting the concept according to what is being taught by their teacher. Maybe their teacher is not the best math teacher, perhaps. And we know we still have that reality that, especially at our primary schools, that many um, we have primary school teachers who are effectively teaching all subjects: mathematics, English, social studies, science, physical education. The one primary school teacher has to be able to be an expert in all things, or and so that, of course, is not quite often real. I mean, you've got astoundingly good teachers out there, but then, of course, the reality is that not everybody will necessarily be great at everything, and so invariably we find gaps, and perhaps not the best experiences being faced by some students. But at least in this current era, there is the possibility that you're not necessarily getting this concept, you can Google it. You can actually go online. You can actually find out this information. Especially maybe if the parent is not able to necessarily explain it, they can then go on and see what's available and then be able to share with their students. So there's a great power that is available to us right now, and perhaps one of the challenges that we are facing as a society is this whole matter of digital literacy. Because it's one thing to be able to, of course, have that resource available. It's a whole other thing to be able to use it effectively. And some people may think it's something that could be, learned along the go and on the fly. That may be so, but it is useful certainly to be able to ensure that we actually have digital literacy. And that's a broad topic that is being faced all around the world. In some countries, digital literacy is a course, it is a program which is actually on the curriculum. Uh, Places in Scandinavia, for instance, are making quite a point of doing it because the other reality, of course, is that because you're being bombarded with so much information, and this information has not necessarily been vetted and approved by any sort of board of education. It's not something that has been um, properly peer referenced. You have lots of information that is just being put out there. And unfortunately, with the information comes misinformation. With the very good scholarship and research that's out there comes lots of propaganda and special interest material. The persons are pushing their own agendas, and you get a lot of that. And the question is, how then do you sift through a lot of what is out there? I remember many years ago at secondary school level, there was this course actually, I think in Form 1 or Form 2, called Research Methods, where it spoke to how do you go about trying to find information, how do you go about doing that. And it's effectively within that same light that digital literacy is, in fact, very important as well. So, how do you go about doing searches? How do you decipher what is real or what is propaganda, what is fake news versus factual stuff? And so that, of course, is part of uh, the world today. It is a necessity, and certainly it's perhaps something that we need to be shifting towards. And so in this current era where we're speaking of and placing such a large emphasis on information and information technology, perhaps it is that also that time to begin looking at whether some of these things should be made mandatory, because we have English literacy being mandatory within our education system. We have mathematics literacy being mandatory, but the matter of information technology is not quite mandatory for a lot of. It's not. I mean, people have that option of perhaps doing an information technology course, but if we are to look at the numbers, it's still a minority of individuals who are actually taking up information technology. And it's an important course because it then allows you, even as it is now, without necessarily expanding it to take in perhaps digital literacy, which is a broader issue in of itself, it does equip the average individual with certain skills in terms of word processing, in terms of how to maybe understand the basics of programming, understanding very powerful um, software like Excel, for instance, which has applications far and wide for potentially the rest of one's life, whether one becomes an engineer or an accountant or somebody in data analytics. Very powerful tools that are already being exposed to our young people, and perhaps it should be exposed to all. And so that's certainly one of the areas we, as when we look at our education system and we ask ourselves, yes, we are providing some of the equipment now. We are providing that basic start. But then, should we and also ensure that everybody knows how to properly utilize that space that exists, both in terms of information analysis and understanding, but also how to utilize useful software which can be applied as one continues to go through the education system and, of course, beyond into the world of work. So it is certainly very important that we arm our young people with the skills of today. It's not even about the skills of tomorrow, because these are things that are already necessary today, and to ensure that they can therefore make even better use of the education system, what is being afforded to them, and certainly ensure that they can excel even more than those of us in the past who went through that education system. Of course, we have been hearing, as I said, a lot of other efforts at trying to level the playing field, and in terms of course, supporting math specialists. There was a mention by the government of $250,000 to support 16 schools in terms of getting math specialists, and that certainly is, without a doubt, something that is very, very welcome, because we have been seeing the challenges and the struggles in this regard. But beyond that, of course, the assistance in terms of the facilities fees, as they have been called, these fees that have been put in by schools now being covered by the government directly. Were certainly some sort of a hindrance to many students, because unfortunately what some schools would have done in the past is that they would actually have withheld grades, report books, if students in fact did not comply with these facilities fees requirements. And also being mentioned by the government is a $1,400 teacher material allowance, which in fact is certainly an increase over what it was. Again, an initiative started off, I believe, by the Kenny Anthony administration. I think in that first instance, it might have been about $600. And so one can appreciate the need to be able to provide teachers with these types of allowances, because they are in fact utilizing lots of resources. They've got to be beyond what is provided by the school, because of course the school is expected to provide lots of other resources for their use, but they also quite often have to get their own. And the reality is sometimes too, teachers are expected, well, not expected, but out of the goodness of their own heart, take out of their own pockets to be able to provide and support for students, because you find situations where students are in need and what have you. So that certainly is something that I think is very, very welcome, and seeing the continued expansion of other forms of support for students, whether it's the bursaries, the payment of facilities fees, the payment of CXC fees, a lot of these things that were hindrances and hurdles for parents and students in the past. We can be speaking about this for quite some time, but I think we are due, in fact, to take in our weather report. So that's our dish of the day.
This has been the Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasware and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody, we got the best as an island. Trust me, we are located Lance Road in Castries, Bosses Grizzly, and Flag Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Beaufort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And also, of course, on the 1.1, it's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east and southeast near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. The weather partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered showers, which may be heavy in some areas, and isolated thunderstorms. A gradual improvement is expected from tomorrow morning. And there is an advisory in areas reserved. Residents and motorists in areas prone to flooding and landslides are advised to be vigilant and exercise caution. Also, the forecast for the Lesser Antilles: cloudy to overcast at times with scattered showers, which could be locally heavy and isolated thunderstorms. Now, the tropical weather outlook: a tropical wave associated with an area of disturbed weather will continue to cause cloudiness with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms over the Lesser Antilles during the next 24 hours. The system is moving westward across the islands near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. A second tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic is moving westward near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. Also, a third tropical wave located just off West African coast is moving near 17 miles per hour or 28 kilometers per hour. This wave has a medium chance of tropical cyclone development during the next 7 days. And this was a weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home. Really? Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up. What are you looking for? Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle. Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for. That sounds perfect. I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation. I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Beaufort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, it's about 23 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock, and we're going to head to the phone lines at this time. The number to call in is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today? Hello, good afternoon. Hello, caller. Looks like that caller was. Let's see if we can get that another call coming in. 452-3046. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today? Okay, looks like we lost that one as well. But of course, we were discussing education in St. Lucia as our schools reopen for a brand new academic year for the first term. And no doubt there'll be lots of very excited students heading into Form 1 or perhaps starting their just starting maybe in a preschool and a early childhood development center or heading into a primary school into grade K for the first time. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
How are you doing, caller?
How's your weekend?
Pretty good, thank you. Thanks for asking. And
How's
yours?
the elder one and the younger one?
They're all good, thank you. Very
All
good.
right. I listened with intent to what you were saying about the digital literacy and, but the digital divide, is something we need to deal with, obviously,
Certainly.
as we're going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But while we deal with that, increasing teledensity or whatever, what is teledensity now? The definition has moved from just phone calls to,
access to data. Access to data, perhaps.
And
yeah,
that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's in order, But I think congruently we must deal with the vagaries of this thing, these whole technologies and the impact. We tend to highlight too much on just the positive things we could get from it without, and it's not being negative by trying to treat with the negative impacts,
Mm-hmm.
of this thing on our social structure, our whole our social construct. Because I think we're not paying enough attention, colleagues, to social mobility. You verse?
Okay.
And we are missed out on that. Because what you have is that there's a great divide. A lot of people, and it's becoming more pronounced now, that it doesn't seem to be a seamless thing for social mobility is not seamless anymore. In other words, there are a lot of means where I guess social mobility is wealth. Wealth is one of the things that enables that.
Well, I was gonna
education,
education,
level of education,
mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So with the gaps now in that kind of equity, obviously must impact negatively on social mobility.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Where you have people who in a certain social class would look up to those in a higher class, and those in a higher class will look down, on those in the lower. So you have this kind of, building up of that kind of negative kind of momentum there, and we're not dealing with that. And the thing, the new technologies is definitely not assisting. In fact, it is driving people more into themselves and being subject to the manipulators, the real architects, the real persons in charge of these technologies, because remember, we have no control over these things. Things like we have control over, we're not dealing with them enough, so that these things are prerequisites to be able to handle the new technologies optimally. If our people are no longer able to move from one class to another seamlessly, and
Well, it's an interesting point that you're making, caller, because even how we've measured these issues, like poverty, for instance,
yes,
right, or poverty, indigence, to say, well, how those things are looked at has changed, and the thinking about them is that it's not certainly is not sufficient to just look at how much income somebody has or how much cash somebody has. That is one factor, yes, but you have to look at what is known as um, a multidimensional index, which looks at a number of different things like access to information, wealth accumulation, right? And so they add some of these models that are being looked at to see how to better capture where people are at, as to whether you can say, well, are they progressing? Are they becoming more socially agile? Are they, better off today than people maybe say 20 years ago? And I don't know. When you look at the society now, I mean, you're saying that we're not seeing social mobility,
yeah.
but I'm not sure how are you measuring that though. That's a big question because one can argue
Okay,
right
for
now in St.
example,
Lucia, there are
for
far
example,
more people at their homes who have, assets like televisions and fridges and laptops, and you're seeing a lot of that becoming more prevalent. So you're getting greater wealth, you're getting greater access to things like the
yeah,
data and the
but at
internet.
the same time, that doesn't mean they're any less ignorant than they were before. And I don't use ignorant in a derogatory kind of way.
Okay, all right.
But these things, the accumulation of these assets doesn't give you the wherewithal.
Okay, so you're looking at
to
a
feel
different thing
equal,
here. Yes, okay, all right.
Yeah, to feel equal,
But then how would you
Whereas,
measure that now?
a poor man who probably don't have that,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up during that kind of era.
Mm-hmm.
If you were, you don't have all that, but you're an outstanding sportsman,
Mm-hmm.
you get to sort of penetrate the upper class and to understand and to deal with these kind of people, not in same class like you. Two other means, but just acquiring assets. But it seems to me that we have gone on the route where accumulate assets, education or whatever, and it will take care of that. But it's not happening. It's not an automatic thing, Alex. Because as you could say, education becoming more and more, you see in the certain schools have the better results. So yes, you could say more education, more people access,
Mm-hmm.
but you could still see, and the people of a certain standing are more manipulated by those up there. You know what I'm saying? So you see crime more pronounced and so on because of the fact that people don't feel that they are part of a oneness kind of environment society.
You think that's why crime is more pronounced?
That's one of the reasons. That's one
Okay.
of the reasons because you could for example, I mean look look at Marchand.
Mm-hmm.
Sport entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
national heroes, diamond steel, Bram, Marsha Breakdown, no diamond steel, Conway, Bernard Hill, VSADC, sports, North Stars, music, breakdown, and So you're seeing the breakdown in certain in communities
Mm-hmm.
has led to a disconnect. Now you wonder why you see so many young people interested in playing steel band, and it's pronounced. You see it more around carnival time when they have. But also somebody I heard was remarking that it's amazing how they see so many young people in states, Labor Day coming and all these things, that young people are playing steel band. But the disturbing thing is that most of them not even from a Caribbean background. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I saw a video of steel pan in Japan just
There you
recently,
go. There you
in
go.
fact.
Because in fact,
But
Japan makes the best steel bands.
oh, do they? Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't
they
know
make
that.
the best steel bands. Because they have mastered the art of making the fans. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that is to show you. So we have we have developed, quote unquote, in such a manner that we become less developed.
Hmm.
If you could understand, the what you call it.
But you
So
the examples you gave, though, caller, I just want to come to them because I think you spoke about some geographic areas, and you gave those examples of Marsha and Conway. Um, but we also have to deal with the reality that we're seeing a very dynamic shift in our population and where people live. And unfortunately, what has happened is that some places have suffered and have gone into a sort of a decline versus other places coming up, and people have left those declining areas for new areas, right? Now those new communities, one may say, they may not be as socially coherent or together as the others, because that is a phenomenon that we've seen with suburbanization. People go out and they build bigger homes, and they more spread out. Everybody has a gate and a dog, and nobody knows who their neighbors are,
yes,
type of
yes,
situation, right? Everybody drives now instead of having to, or they take a bus to go
yes,
into the city
yes,
center instead of necessarily having to walk through the community again.
yes,
So you've seen a sort of physical shift in our society as a result of our urbanization
yes.
or suburbanization,
No,
and
I agree.
it
People
has been
must
to the
develop
detriment of some areas. I agree,
people must
but
develop and expand. I agree. I agree to that. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But I mean, we don't have to make people feel that within the environment they cannot develop.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
In other words, ghetto don't equal poverty and no facilities. Ghetto people mustn't necessarily be subject to these kind of things. We could, I mean, I mean, we cannot build the ghetto, Alex, because a lot of people, that's where they had their houses.
but the
And,
places that we calling ghettos were not always called ghettos.
absolutely,
They were, in fact,
ab-
considered middle class, working class
absolutely,
communities, maybe in
right,
the
right,
50s and
right.
60s and 70s.
So when people are made to feel that the only way you could think is if you show the trappings of getting out of there, then what you're doing is that you're not only destroying, you're destroying a whole fabric there. You're destroying
Mm.
the culture of sports, whatever that environment that yielded that,
Mm-hmm.
and that cannot be transformed to wherever they're going. You know what I'm saying? So it's causing a whole social displacement that we have not handled properly.
Well, that I agree with. We have not handled the
Yes, we're not
migration,
handling
the
the
shifting
vagaries of
of
development, and that's
individuals
what I
in
want
that
to
way.
caution against. Even with the new technologies, we are not seeing how people are becoming much less personal. People very impersonal.
Mm.
People, more subject to untruths and to be chapped by untruths and what they call it false news and all kind of things. It has the vagaries and of it numerous.
But that's the point I was making, though, caller, that you to be able to deal with those challenges, you have to face them head on. You can't just believe that, well, okay, they have come, and I mean these things would have come, regardless. The shift towards information and communications technologies and telecommunications, they're here, but we have not necessarily equipped the average person to be able to function within those spaces. You see,
Yeah, but that's what I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
so
I'm
you have
I'm
to
not
tackle
disagreeing
it from a perspective of how do they become literate within
but
and
what I'm saying is that we're not taking it head on. We're still trying to push, increase it. Let me get it going at a faster rate, head on, without dealing, you know, parallel with, the vagaries. Let us face the vagaries head on also.
Mm.
I don't know if it's possible to face, to deal, to treat with the downside
right.
while you deal with the positive aspects of it. Maybe that's too much for us to handle.
Well, it's been. I mean, we had that conversation. I would think back in the 1980s when you had cable TV. You remember there was a big thing about TV when TV became a major mode of trans pushing information around the world, transmitting information. Um, and we know there were issues about Americanization of the society and everything that we're seeing and the way people are dressing is now.
No, but
The music was shifting.
TV dwarfs this new technologies. You're talking about
No, I'm just saying that we've been here before, in
television
this
and
type of
everything.
conversation about this cultural shift and the social implications of a form of communication, right? And what all you will see is that these are now, well, I mean, what is different now with respect to um the space that you're dealing with now is that whereas TV was more of a one directional, a unidirectional type of thing. You put it out and
Exactly.
it's a broadcast. But now,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course, people are
yeah,
communicating, they're sharing,
yeah, yeah.
that's the social dynamic is what
It's not
is
a
phenomenally
two-way thing.
different.
Yeah, yeah. So
So
it don't have impact on the young minds like the new technologies would.
but it's a wonderful opportunity too, Cole,
What's
because
that?
it's also a wonderful opportunity.
What's that?
Be, the social dimension of the space that we're in now, the information age that we're in, allows for what we term content creation. You have a lot of people who are producing things now, albeit in the St. Lucian context, what we find we're creating quite a lot of is humorous things, the memes and maybe to some degree, we capturing events that happen in the country, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of content that we can be creating or should be creating now, right? For ourselves, so that we put ourselves out there. So,
Anyway, I taken up too
all
much time.
right then, caller. Thanks very much for that contribution. Have a good one. But it is certainly a very important conversation to be had because the space that exists now, it therefore means that we've got to be able to utilize these tools that are available. How we teach, for instance, can certainly change. And coming back to that whole point about content development, when a young person right now is looking for information, where are they going? They're going on to these global platforms, whether it's Wikipedia, whether it's YouTube, those types of um, maybe TikTok even for information, or Instagram. People are looking for information on all these places, Facebook. And the question is, are we as a country creating sufficient content to be able to support that what those individuals are looking for? And it also is an important thing from even the perspective of a marketplace, because people are looking for information about St. Lucia and things that may be St. Lucian and or West Indian. And so that is actually an opportunity for one to be able to share and highlight one's culture, one's traditions, one's experiences, one's own knowledge framework that exists there. So certainly it is really a call to action for more of that to happen. How people teach, for instance, can be very different. You can end up in a situation where, hey, you've got some phenomenal mathematics teachers or phenomenal science teachers. Should that phenomenal science teacher today not be able to reach not just the students that are present in his or her class in front of them or in that school, but could be reaching all the students within the education system across the island, and even beyond that. And so you're seeing some of that, of course, already happening. People provide CXC exam guides and lots of information. But the point is, we now have the technology to really flatten the learning experience and to ensure that people can actually get a lot more out of the education space, because the education space is no longer the classroom. It is no longer the school library. The days of you having to go and trying to find a collection of encyclopedias to be able to find out information. That's no longer the case. And so there are certainly lots of opportunities within the education system to change how people access information, how people learn differently. And a lot of that is, in fact, being challenged, I can say. I wanted to actually share a video on how even the matter of how people are being taught to read, believe it or not, is actually changing in this current era. Somebody made a point regarding the whole matter of digital literacy. I just wanted to share that. They actually sent in a note, and it says, "Hi, Calix, the Universal Service Fund, USF unit of the NTRC, the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, does engage in providing digital literacy skills to sectors of the society where gaps are identified, are underserved, or have challenges. Those programs include the annual Girls in ICT, Summer Tech, Bouge Tech, targeting particularly young men, and the newly introduced Senior Tech, aimed at seniors and retirees." A very interesting note coming out there regarding the Universal Service Fund. I think we can try to squeeze in just one call very, very quickly. It won't be very long at all. Good afternoon. Welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hi.
Hi, caller. How are
Good
you?
afternoon.
Afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You said that you're talking about what something being mandatory, like all of this stuff. That's I think what should be mandatory is national service. Monday, because up to yesterday they had this thing about the 6 and 7 groups at the Caribbean cinemas. Now, I mean, their faces are there to be seen. The schools they attend to, most times the teachers know them, the principal, the guidance counselors.
Yes.
I think the school,
Yes.
the police, and the Ministry of Education will should come up together for a program where they have it mandatory that those young guys and girls engage in something, give back service, don't give them time to do it, because most times when they leave school, it's nothing they have to do.
I cannot agree with you more, caller. It
Nothing
is
they have
it
to
is
do.
beyond time.
Sometimes can't afford to put them in some after school class, or they can take some different classes. So have them engage in something that will keep them occupied and off the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time. And I think like today, school opening a school, the policemen, the Ministry of Education people should be going to those schools and talking to those children about those things, talking to them about the consequences of their behavior. Let them know, be straight up with them. Don't hold any anything with them. Give it to them as it is, straight like that, and have them enroll in those programs. Because you can have so many young girls and boys after school fighting, cutlass or no. They have to engage in something, and it has to be made mandatory that they do it.
I certainly agree with you, caller, and it is a major gap. We have too many good examples around the world where we talk about successful small countries.
Yeah.
And we look at Singapore, national service there. You've got to participate, whether it's through the military or in another some sort of other program. They've got it. Israel is the same way. Taiwan. There are a lot of, and I think for small countries, that's something that is achievable. I think it's something that is necessary because you have to be able to leverage your human resources. I agree.
You should not have a choice. You have to do that. You have to give how many hours after school each day.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much free time on their hand. And usually where are the parents to give them guidance? Some of them are working out. They're very hard. They cannot provide for them as they really want to. They cannot give them the guidance and support. But if you get them into some service that will keep them, something that will, and have something that will interest them, that will want to make them change. At the same time, you also already giving them guidance counseling, which sometimes is not enough for them. I think all those agencies need to work to human services included too, because some of those trends are referred to the Division of Human Services.
Very much so.
Need to come together with a plan. The Ministry of Education to come together and put something, and you need to do something about it, because just before school, you're not going to go to cinema where other people are there and behaving that way.
Another incident. I wasn't even aware of that one. Thanks very much for sharing with us about that, caller. Thanks very, very much. Much appreciated.
I have to ask you a question. Have the, how do you saying, Hall of Justice been stopped?
Stopped? No, not that I'm aware of.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. First of all, I listened to yesterday. There was this thing in the United States in New York where the United Workers' Party had something, and they had these different speakers. It's a large number of them. Champagne, Herman Gale, and all sorts of them. And Herman Gale was saying a whole lot of things. He said that they had like $50 million. He said, after 3 years, it's like chaos now. It's chaos like in 79 when the other people came in, and now it's the same thing after 3 years. There's a whole lot of chaos in the country with that government. But he was saying that they broke down the police station where they were going to make the Hall of Justice. And they had $50 million to build the Hall of Justice. But the other government take it, and now the Catholic Church has stopped to saying it's disturbing, and it has stopped. So I'm just quantifying that. Now he said 50 million. Nancy said 88 million. The former Prime Minister said 99 million. So which one of them, just like the Census Hospital, when everybody was given a different amount of money, don't those people work together?
Well, apples and oranges, caller. Sometimes, we don't know the details because we're not seeing what is the scale or the size of what is actually being delivered in each of these projects. But we're going to have to take that up maybe tomorrow, if you don't mind. Okay. Thanks for calling in on that one. Have a good one. Unfortunately, we're already out of time here at this program, and I hope you can join us tomorrow for another one. I'm your host, Alex Shaw Jr., saying goodbye.